That's why, Jake, and you were covering it this week, that's why Senator Obama did make a mistake when he lumped in John McCain with Republicans when he talked about they're going to say, you know, I look different. They're going to point this out because John McCain has been scrupulous about not raising race in any way, and Obama then gave him an opening to fight back.
That's right. I mean, and in fact, McCain has not even, he's condemned ads that weren't even directly racial. You could say that it's a fair shot for the North Carolina Republican Party to use an ad with Jeremiah Wright, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. But McCain is so hesitant to be lumped in with anything that has any racial tinge in it, although some people are critical of this new ad, the Britney ad.
Donna, 3 times now Obama has injected race into the campaign. Down in Florida he did it, and in Berlin he did it. He said the following in Berlin: "I know that I don't look like the Americans who've previously spoken in this great city." Now, he either meant, presumptuously, I don't look like the other American presidents, of which he is not one yet, or he's leaving out Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell, who look like him. Mm-hmm. So why isn't he the one who keeps injecting this, and why?
Well, George, the fact is he is black, and he has injected race. He injected it on Father's Day.
Why does he keep doing it?
Well, George, it's obvious, and I think it's a way to make people more comfortable. It's the elephant in the room. People are very uncomfortable.
He accused McCain of attacking him.
No, he lumped McCain with a bunch of scurrilous attacks, baseless attacks on his character, his patriotism, and perhaps he misspoke a little bit. But I don't think he accused John McCain of being a racist or running a racist campaign. But clearly he has sought to inject race in a very healthy way. And he's done it time and time again. But why is it that it's just a black candidate who must inject race and talk about it and be comfortable? And when everyone else discusses it, it's like, oh my God, it's ignored.
That's not fair. The media has been very vigilant on the attacks against Obama that are race-based, whether it was questions of things that Clinton and Clinton supporters said, or the scurrilous ads coming out of various state Republican parties. The media has been vigilant. But by the same token, we're allowed to say, hey, wait a second. You're lumping in McCain making racial ads when he attacks when he hasn't done it.
Look, I think that Donna's got a point here. Everybody knows he's black, but there has been a very intentional effort to paint him as somebody outside the mainstream other. He's not
mostly
one
below
of
the
us.
radar screen.
It's below the radar screen. I think the McCain campaign has been scrupulous about not directly saying it, but it's the subtext of this campaign. Everybody knows that, and when they send, there are certain kind of signals. As a native of the South, I can tell you when you see the Charlton Heston ad, the one, that's code for he's uppity. He ought to stay in his place. You know, everybody gets that who's from a Southern background. We all understand that. When McCain comes out and starts talking about affirmative action, I'm against quotas. We get what that's about. We understand where that's coming from.
He was asked.
I understand that, but I'm just telling you that gets across. And so it's not unfair for him to sort of bring up the fact, hey, everybody knows I'm black, let me talk about it.
And George, that may be his only strategy, just as McCain may be following the only strategy he can follow. A lot of studies have been done where if race is sort of up front and it confronted directly, voters will be more likely to accept the idea of a black candidate. But if it's submerged, they can vote their prejudice or fears.
Maybe we're missing the point, which is that race, I believe, probably gets him 3 votes for every vote.
If it's overt, I think that's right.
Beyond that, what an awful lot of the other that he represents is the windsurfer. It's John Kerry. The crowning, crashing irony of this year is that the first African-American president to be nominated by a major party has the weakness of being too upper crust. That is, he's Columbia University, he's Harvard Law School. He is just not
arugula
like
and Georgia.
And Freshfield,
well, again, that is another way of putting him down when, God, look, frankly, my parents were just happy that we got out of high school and went to college, and now all of a sudden you go to Harvard, you're uppity. Well, my God. Look, I think Senator Obama has tried to have a healthy conversation around race. He's tried to even help others to understand how to have this conversation, but it is the elephant in the room, and I think he has to continue to gently discuss it without raising the racial animus that George mentioned that will cause whites to be alienated and cause a backlash.
But he also does have to address this elitist argument, because that is also where McCain is going. And Jake, I noticed the word that the McCain camp was using all week long to describe Barack Obama was fussy.
Fussy, yeah, it was interesting. Well, because he's a picky eater and all of that. I mean, I think there's a certain attack that he's vain, that he thinks he's better than everyone else. Maybe there's a degree of uppityness that's being implied. I'm not. I don't see it. You know, so much of this is about the eye of the beholder. It's so interesting. I had two good friends over last night to my house, African-American Obama supporters. I asked them, do you think that by injecting Paris Hilton and Britney Spears into this ad, the McCain campaign was trying to make something sexual about it, like with the Harold Ford ad, the 2006
I
Tennessee.
can see a little bit of that.
And they said no. On the other hand, I was emailing with a dear Republican friend this morning who was a McCain supporter. He said yes.
And you know, that is so interesting. All week long in the ads, both sides, David, have said they've done lots of research on them. The McCain side says they showed it to the focus groups, people to get a chuckle, pay attention to the message. Obama side says people, the minute they see Britney and Paris, they turn off, they're insulted. My guess is that both could be very, very true.
Exactly. Exactly right. And let me make this point. What I think we've learned this week was far more than what we've seen in the past. It turns out that when a Republican attack machine cranks up, just as Hillary Clinton predicted, he's actually pretty vulnerable. And they took him down a couple of notches this week. This was a good week for John McCain. He changed the conversation back to himself, away from Europe, and he also took Obama down some. What this tells me is that Obama needs some help out there to fight this campaign, and I know he's dismissed Hillary Clinton as a running mate. I think he needs to reopen that question and re-examine that, because he needs a fighter by his side to take this on. There are some things he can't say very well that she could say, or someone who's a fighter could say.
And he's got to get those voters that went for her in the primaries.
Absolutely. And I think this underscores very much. He needs a strong running mate. He doesn't need a colorless running mate.
Donna, he just doesn't want to do it.
Well, that was an unscripted remark. Look, I think the Obama campaign is still trying to figure out who would make the right fit. They have a number of good Democrats on the list, maybe a Republican or two, but I don't think her name should necessarily go to the bottom of the list. I think she would be an incredible vice president, Bill Clinton notwithstanding. But at the same time, I think it needs to be Senator Obama's choice. And I think you're absolutely right. This was a week where his campaign should have been soaring, should continue to move forward and closing some of the gaps with older white voters. He's doing much better than Kerry and Gore at the same period in their races, but not well enough to really blow the race out.
And I wonder